Okay guys, welcome back. BMW Fuel Strip, fuel level sensors. Well, we all know what a nightmare they are, which is why you're watching this video. So you may have previously watched a video about installing the Genuine BMW Fuel Strip Sensor. By happy coincidence, it happened to be on this bike. This bike's been here in the workshop for something else, and while it was here, serendipitously, is that the right way of saying it? I got an email from a guy in Spain, I think he is, and he's developed a replacement for the original BMW fuel sensor. I'll flash the email up on the screen. Perfect timing. So while this bike's here having its clutch done, which is a monumental job, I'm going to fit this new improved fuel strip that this guy's developed. Remember when I put the Genuine BMW fuel strip on this? Well, it all worked perfectly for a few months and then it went wrong again, which is basically the story with these fuel strip sensors. I've stopped. Based on that, I don't want to waffle on, based on that video I made a few years back on fitting the original strip, I got a lot of inquiries for people saying, can you fix mine? And I've done a few, and I got burnt by one of them because I did it, and quite rightly, it wasn't a cheap exercise to replace the fuel strip. The original BMW one I fitted, it went wrong. I went back to BMW and said, hang on a minute, this has only been fitted a couple of months. They wouldn't honour the warranty for the part. So I got burnt. I had to buy another one and replace it for the guy at my expense because of BMW. I won't bore you with the detail, but it's just a nightmare. So I've got to the point with these now where I've said, actually, I'm not doing any more. I refuse. But we might have a solution now because this guy's come up with another sensor design, which, I don't know, I'll show you it now. I'll put it on the bench, and I haven't even unpacked it. I've looked at their website and stuff. Let's get it on the bench and have a look at it. Okay guys, so I was expecting a fuel strip, a great big long plastic thing, but it turns out, and I looked at the website as well, that I think we're going to have to, I have no idea about how to fit it or anything, but I think it's just, oh look, it comes in a nice little tin. I think there's some sort of taking apart of the original plastic piece. I also saw on the pictures the guy sent me an email that there's a 3D printed part of it, which was slightly worrying because 3D printing generally isn't fuel resistant. Okay, so that's what you get. Interesting. This is 3D printed. I'm guessing it must be like nylon, 6/6 nylon or something. Oh, look. Okay. We're obviously going to have to take apart the original plastic piece. Right, so let's get the old sensor out. I'm going to go on their website, see if I can find some fitting instructions, because there doesn't appear to be, unless in this packet he sent some paperwork maybe. Or is this just customs declaration-y stuff? Stand by. Yeah, no instructions whatsoever. So let's go on the website, see what we can find out. And yeah, maybe this actually will turn out to be quite a useful instructional video for somebody that's bought one of these. See you in a minute. Okay guys, so there are some fitting instructions on the website. There's also there's a YouTube video, guys talking in Spanish though, and he talks really fast, so the subtitles whiz by, but it looks like a pretty simple procedure. Anyway, yeah, so I've got to get the old sensor out. I'm not going to show you that because that's in the original video that I did with Ben out on the road, so I'll put a link up in the corner here for that if you want to go and watch that first. We'll get the old sensor out and then I'll show you what's going on installing this. It all looks pretty straightforward. A little bit of soldering to do. It did show in the video here of this guy in Spain doing it, that they included some little heat shrink connectors for these wires, but they don't appear to be in this kit. But as he does in this video, you want to solder and heat shrink the wires really to make it as good as possible. Anyway, let me get the old sensor out now, and then we'll get to installing this new one in the plastic piece, because as I said, the plastic little strip thing, that's got to come apart to slide the old one out and slide this in. Anyway, it'll make sense when you see it. Just to show you, I'm sure you believe me, but before I start taking it apart, it's basically reading 0, this fuel gauge. Fuel thingy bobby is flashing, so there's no fuel in it. It's been like that for a couple of years now, I think. Since when the other sensor failed, the guy was like, nah, time out, not putting another one in it, I'll just fill it to the brim and set me trip meter or whatever. Anyway, so that's how it is now before we've done any other work. Okie dokie, so over on the other workbench, I've got the sensor out. Show you how this comes apart, super simple. So all you do is just get these wires up through this bracket, and then this, excuse my hands in the shot, just pulls out the end, and then the original strip comes out. Simple as that. Apparently, what I'm going to do is cut these wires off, get the other sensor, stand by. So the colours match, or sort of match. We've got blue, brown, red and black, and we've got blue, brown, orange and black. I just need to double check the wiring, but it makes sense because they're in the right order. So blue to blue, brown to brown, red to orange and black to black. So I'm just going to chop this connector off here, and then solder the wires to this, solder an adhesive lined heat shrink, slide it into here. I'll show you it in stages as I go. And then apparently, looking at I'll flash it on the screen, but it says on the website that it doesn't matter. The issue with the original one is it's got to be dry to calibrate it. Anyway, I won't go into that because I go into that in the original video, but this can just be calibrated dry, wet, half a tank of fuel. It makes no difference. So hopefully it'll be a nice straightforward calibration. I'm curious about this 3D printing, whether it's fuel proof, but it must be. You know, this is not their first rodeo. They've been selling these for over a year now, apparently. And then these pins, I just chop them off. This is for a different application. So these pins apparently are these wires and something else. I couldn't quite dig into the information, but looking at the Spanish guy on the other YouTube video, he just cuts these off. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get on a WhatsApp call with the guy that designed it and have a little bit of a chat with him about it, because I said in my email to him that let me fit one first, because he wanted to get me on a WhatsApp call before I'd even fitted one. I said, send me one, let me fit one, and then I'll have some, you know, some actual valuable questions. So maybe with his permission, I might film that WhatsApp call, or at least record it, and maybe put it at the end of this video. We'll see how we go anyway. Let's get this connected up, soldered together, and get it back in and see how easy it is to calibrate. Should be straightforward. Okay guys, so that's soldered and heat shrunk together. So it's just a case of sliding this in now. So got to get it the right way round. So feed that in there. Feed these wires down through that little centre bit of the plastic. Sorry, I'm trying to do it and not get my hands in the way, which is basically impossible. Perfecto. It just clicks in. And then I've got to cut these pins off, apparently, which seems a bit weird, but that's what it says to do. Okay. Cool. Put it back in the bike and do the calibration. Okie dokie guys, so calibration. I've got a power supply hooked up, battery tender. I've got that set to 13.5 volts, so that will maintain the battery voltage at 13.5 volts regardless of how much current it pulls. So that's apparently super important when you're doing the calibration. I'm not going to go right in the weeds with the calibration because I'll link to it again in the description and in this little poppy out thing up here. Yeah, you've seen it before in that other video, so there's no point in boring you with it this time round. So let's do the calibration. I'll do you a few little screenshots on here just in case you haven't seen that video and you can't be asked to go and watch it, and hopefully it will all just work fine and that'll be an end of it. Rightio, okay. So we need special features, special settings, and we need this one here, tank float calibration, plate transducer. Start, gives us loads of different warnings from memory. Okay, okay, okay. Settings, start, yes, confirm, even dry. Yeah, we're going to ignore this dry, the plate transducer, because apparently this thing, it can be in fuel, it doesn't make any difference. Make sure the transducer does not get hot. Okay. Okay, so we're ignoring some of these because it's not the original BMW transducer. Okay, so we just need to wait now. Fast forward this bit. Okie dokie. Well, that's promising. Calibration carried out correctly. Okay, it's already installed, but so we just ignore that. Confirm. Okay. 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 Confirm. No, I don't want to print anything. Okay. Right, so it's not showing anything yet. Let's what we'll do is we'll cycle the ignition, and normally you have to pull the clutch in and then wait about 40 seconds, I think it says, and we'll see what's occurring. This is really hard to film without getting glare on the screen. Okay. Holy shit. Can you see that? Just worked. Well, that's a good sign. So, assuming that there are no reliability issues with this thing, then this could potentially be the fix for these very annoying BMW fuel strips. Okay guys, thanks for watching. There'll be an update on this. There might be a bit at the end, there might not be if I get to speak to the guy that designed it. Failing that, I'll probably check in the comments, because what I'll probably do is if there's any ongoing issues and this fails at any point, in the future I'll put it at the top of the comments. So if you're curious, go read the top of the comment and there'll likely be an update with a date if this has ever caused a problem. But fingers crossed, there might finally be a solution to these annoying things. Right, thanks for watching guys, see you on the other side. Okay guys, hopefully you can hear me. I've got no mic and this is a bit of a mobile phone video just at the end. So a little bit of comms from the guy, I'll put the email somewhere on the screen, just to say that I'd asked him about the 3D printing. It's PETG, and after a little bit of gargling, apparently it's fuel resistant to a point. You wouldn't want to make a container to hold petrol or gasoline if you're not in the UK out of PETG, but it's because the sensors, that piece of the sensors at the top of the fuel tank, so it's not submerged all the time. So yeah, in that environment, should be all right. It will be all right. I'm sure they've done their research and it's fine. And then the other thing was, I was questioning the pins on the sensor. Apparently that's just for programming in the factory. Why they don't cut those off, I'm not quite sure, because that caused me a little bit of confusion, and I'm sure it will other people. And the thing that caused me confusion, actually, and if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen here from the website, and perhaps I misread or misunderstood, but I'm sure it mentioned something about the pins in the fitting instructions. Anyway, so you cut the pins off, they're purely to program the chip in the factory. The 3D printing's PETG, and that should be fine for the application. And we're 2 weeks after I filmed it. I've spoken to the guy, it's still working fine. So, fingers crossed, this is actually the fix. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And if you've got this far right to the end, if you can support us on Patreon, that'd be amazing. Sort of building out the Patreon thing a little bit, so you get the main benefit for being a Patreon member is you get access to the Discord, and the Discord is like a chat group. There's a few of us on there now, and there's different channels of conversation. One of them is a direct line to me for tech support. There's a section where we share service information and all sorts of stuff, so there's definitely some value there for as little as, I think the lowest tier for the patron is $1 a month. So yeah, I think it offers good value for money. Anyway, so if you can support, awesome, do that. You're not going to not see content. I do the occasional little behind the scenes video on Discord, but not very often. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm waffling on. Take it easy, see you on the other side.